Welcome to Wake Up with Joni, the podcast where we dive deep into consciousness, healing, and the power of living an awakened life. Today, I'm honored to welcome Sonya Lee, a deeply intuitive spiritual mentor, master energy healer, and lifelong seeker. From the incense-filled halls of her grandmother's Buddhist temple to profound awakenings in a monastery built on haunted hospital grounds, Sonia's path has been anything but ordinary. Her early life was steeped in sacred traditions and supernatural experiences that shaped her into the powerful guide she is today. Sonia works with people who are ready to shed old patterns, tap into higher frequencies, and align with their soul's purpose, which is perfect for this audience. Through energy healing, intuitive guidance, and deep spiritual mentorship, she helps clients remember who they truly are. So today we'll explore her journey, her work, and how each of us can walk a more awakened path. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Joni.
Oh, my pleasure. These are conversations that I love to have. Things that maybe I have a tiny bit of knowledge about, or things that I've been exploring, or whatever it is. It's something that I want to tap into for people and have that conversation and hopefully ask the questions that they're asking in their own minds. Would you like to just start with and give us a little bit of background about your life?
Gosh, there's so much to say. Do you know how people all have spiritual curiosities? Well, my life was like that, but I didn't know it was spiritually curious until I guess when I was like 8 or 7. I realized that not everybody went to their grandmother's temple. And I realized that not everybody was raised in a Buddhist monastery. And I realized that not everybody lights incense when they wake up in the morning or right before they go to bed. I just never knew that that was a sacred practice. And so I'd like to start and share my story by telling you that I grew up just like any other kid. I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. And my grandmother at that time lived with my family in Toronto, and we had this really big house. And it was really nice to be able to spend time with my grandmother until she went back to Hong Kong. And then not long after, my family also moved back to Hong Kong. And when we resettled in Hong Kong, my grandmother had created a family temple where locals could come, and it was just a makeshift apartment. There's not a lot of space in Hong Kong, and to have land is quite a privilege. And so she had a one-bedroom apartment that she had converted into a temple. And the main bedroom in itself was filled with altar statues and incense pots and coils and just photos of different deities. And every weekend, my family would go there and spend time with my grandmother. And I would oftentimes watch the adults perform ceremonies and chant and recite and do all of these fun things. And I just thought it was normal. Everybody went and spent time with their grandmother on the weekends. And so that's where my journey started, is being able to connect with a spiritual realm, not knowing how unique and special that is. And later in my years, when I was about 13, my family sent me to a Buddhist monastery halfway across the world from Hong Kong in Northern California. And it was a boarding school slash full-on Buddhist monastery. And so, in essence, us children were raised by monks and nuns in a very traditional, formal environment where there was prayer and chanting every single day. Ceremony is a part of our existence. You go to the Buddha hall and do ceremony before lunch. And it was surreal. I do talk about this in my full story. And it was a very interesting experience. I can't say that it was pleasant because I was 13 going on 16, and we lived a very sheltered life. There was no music, no magazines, no newspaper, no TV, no radio, and everything that we were able to get in contact with was censored. And so that was both traumatizing, as you can understand, but also very enlightening. Being on 700 acres of pure nature with ultimate silence is what most people in our age now aspire for. And so that was my path. I graduated, went to university back in Toronto. And then not long after that, I ended up back in Southern California, which is where I am today. I climbed the corporate ladder because I didn't know what to do with my spiritual self. Climbed the corporate ladder, went all the way up to chief experience officer, built a couple of tech companies, was just flying high and consulting with big CEOs and building websites and apps and technology and managing teams. And next thing you know, I'm doing change management and then management consulting. And then I burnt out. And that's how I am doing what I do today, is because I had to walk that path.
Wow, so many things I want to ask you. At that point in your life, at 13 years old, where was social media? Had that,
No,
so there was no Facebook yet.
no,
Okay, so you
no,
weren't missing out on that piece because
no.
there's so much good that's come out of the technology.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is so much disconnection with this connecting technology. So I just wondered if how that did that save you from that, but it wasn't out yet.
No, it didn't exist yet. I'm in my late 40s now.
Okay.
And so that was 30 years ago, if I can math correctly. And back then it was snail mail, and we would have
Yeah.
pen pals, and we had payphones where you'd have to call someone from a payphone. I don't know that cell phones had been invented yet at that time. Maybe they had, but that wasn't something that I had access to. So it was a very, very sheltered existence.
Yes. So you moved into corporate America in
Mhm.
the tech space. So what was your title? What were you, a programmer, an
Yeah.
analyst?
Yeah. So I had started off as a web designer.
Okay.
And this was before there even was web. So I was at the forefront of all of this.
Yes.
I'd been playing on the internet since 1998, back when we had dial-up. I'm really dating myself right now. So we had dial-up, and it was before AOL. It was pure, it was Unix, and there were no websites that you could go to. And so I was at the forefront of all of that, talking to people all over the internet, building, back then we called them web pages,
Mhm.
before there was a full-on site, and we wrote our own HTML. So I started there as a designer. And even when I went to school for design, there was no web program. And so I went to the dean and I was like, hey, you should get ahead of this thing. There's this thing called the web, the internet. Do you mind if I specialize in this? And he was like, well, actually, why don't we do this? Why don't you specialize in that and I'll let you self-study, because it seems like you're already doing it. So I was really ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
I started off as designer, web designer, and I did print design back in the day, and then led the charge for building websites.
Let me ask you, do you think that your early training in terms of meditation and being able to quiet the mind and tap into messages or energies from the universe, basically, that that was a normal thing for you? Do you think that that helped you in being somebody who thought out of the box? Feels
At
like a
that
connection.
time, if I'm being really honest with you, no, I don't think so, because I didn't know how to use it. I
So
had,
you were just brilliant.
yeah, I had learned something that is fundamental to human consciousness, but I didn't know how to apply it. So I, just like everyone else, wanted to thrive and succeed and be accomplished and be recognized. I wanted to do all of those things. I think that being able to pave my own way comes down to not my monastic upbringing, but rather a deep, powerful urge within me that says, Sonia, you have to do something different. That's where that came from. Yeah.
There is somewhere, I believe, came to that you that it was possible. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you're from a specific culture.
Mhm.
And you were like, yeah, none of that matters. I'm creating something. I'm doing something completely out of the box.
Yeah.
That's
And I
brilliant.
knew that there was a sense of obligation that I had to be different, dare to be different, so that I could do I don't know what. But the urgency was you can't do things like everyone else.
Yeah. Let
Yeah.
me ask you, and this is completely off topic, but fascinating to me, the Hong Kong piece. So you left Hong Kong before it reverted back to
Yeah.
China. Okay. So have you been back there since? And what do you see? Yeah.
Maybe once. I honestly no, I haven't.
Yeah, that whole thing fascinates me. So
Yeah, very fascinating. Yeah.
yeah, another
It's
topic.
interesting living between both cultures, the
Yeah.
Western culture and the Asian culture, and having the two of them. It's like trying to reconcile your books. And something isn't adding up. And
Mhm,
that's how I felt a big part of my life is being born into the Chinese culture, but not understanding how do I fit in to North America? How does this make sense? Why was I born Chinese, let
mhm,
alone Asian, a 5'1" female? Like, how does this work out? And
mhm,
I didn't understand any of that until now, where if I'm come full circle and I understand, oh, I had to be born into this culture. I had to go through that training in my childhood so that I could teach this once again to
mhm,
people who desperately need it.
mhm. So what is the what it so let's say somebody out there is in that same situation where they're trying to figure out where they fit in. And it doesn't have to be culturally, period. Where do I fit in? What do you say to them?
I always start the conversation with what is truly important. And a lot of times people will default to family is important. And I'll say, yeah, of course, family's really important. But what about beyond that? Oh, work. I love my work. Okay, so do I. But let's go a little bit deeper. And that's where people start to fumble a little bit and they don't understand what I'm trying to get at. What matters the most is what's inside the heart. And it's not what you think you should do out of obligation or where you should be or what you should be accomplishing or how much money you should be making or the persona that you've created or the identity. But it's going back to the roots of what was important to you when you were a child. And if you weren't allowed to have a childhood, can we talk about it? Because that important piece is somewhere there. And I'll have people who argue with me. Oh, we don't have to go there. It's not important. And I'll say, but humor me. Let's play. Let's just humor me and help me understand you a little bit better. And as we start to peel back the layers of family, work, identity, money, success, and we get back to the fundamental values curiosity, happiness, joy, peace, nature, play, laughter. We get back to those values or those essences. There's truth in it. And so, what drives people is usually a pain or a wound, a need to be accomplished so that you don't appear to be less than, a need for perfection so that nobody will judge you, but meanwhile, you're silently judging yourself. And that's why it's important to go back to the original roots to figure it out. There's magic there in that.
Yes. Let's take it another step because I believe that you do generational healing work as well.
Mhm.
So going back even further than childhood. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so I work as a healer. I am a shaman and a psychic. So I do generational work. I also do dimensional work, quantum work, energetic work, talk therapy. I'm not a therapist, but we can talk about it. So I use a multi-pronged approach to really get to the root of what's important. When we talk about ancestral or generational healing, It really is about understanding what is yours, what is truly yours, and what isn't yours. And the most basic example that I can offer, not that everyone will relate to this, but I'll just share this just so you understand what I'm getting at, is I'm Chinese. And in our Asian culture, across many Asian cultures, there is this thing where we have to respect the elders in our family, even if they're abusive,
Mm,
even if they are malicious.
mm,
And even more so, there's this thing where we have to honor and respect the fathers, the men in the family, even if they're rude, even if they're wrong. And we as women, shoulda, woulda, coulda, be subservient, filial, compliant, right?
mhm,
And so when I was doing my own generational healing and ancestral healing, my father-in-law, my gosh, was the most verbally abusive man I have ever experienced. And he would straight up yell at his own child and say, "You're an idiot. You're stupid. You're useless. You are good for nothing." And I would witness these conversations and I would have this emotional disconnect that says, I'm supposed to respect you, but that is not cool. And I had to wrestle with, where did that come from? Why do I have to respect this man who is abusive? Why am I buying into this idea that I should be kind to him? And I realized it was rooted in the culture. It was rooted in my ancestry because we've never questioned it. Part of that healing work is going back and peeling back the layers. I call it unsubscribing, kind of like YouTube, unsubscribing to thoughts, beliefs, or patterns that no longer align with us. So now these thoughts, patterns, and behaviors can be in our ancestry. It can be through our generations. It can be through multiple lifetimes, through any dimension, through any kind of existence, not even human existence. And so we go back and through my psychic eyes, I'll look and I'll try to navigate that path for the person I'm working with and go, I think I'm getting a vision. Do you want me to share? And more than often, they'll go, yeah. And I'll share. And then we now have something to work on and we heal and we keep peeling back the layers. It's a really interesting approach. It's really fascinating.
yes, and very powerful and very
Oh,
necessary. And people in the beginning often don't realize that there's so much more than this 3D existence. Computer in front of me and the desk, and there's so much more. And
yeah.
then, honestly, I think the most profound healing happens at that spiritual level. So,
Yeah.
really great work. Can you share a little bit of how do you heal or help people heal when they are programmed for
Mm.
guilt and shame?
Goodness, there is no one size fits all. And it really depends on the person. If we are to unravel the guilt and the shame component, but somebody is suffering from a restless mind and they can't sit still and they are constantly doing, the first thing that we need to approach is mindfulness and being
Hmm.
centered and grounded and really create that space where you can begin to introspect. It's not where we just go straight into talking and we pull it out like pulling weeds out of a garden. We have to create the sacred space so that whatever comes up can come up and we know how to deal with it. A lot of times people will say, but Sonya, it doesn't make sense. I just want to go straight to getting rid of that so I can go back to my work. And I say, well, therein lies the conundrum, right? Because you want me to fix it, but you want to go straight back to work. But what if this shame is actually calling your attention so you can heal something more profound within you? What if this shame isn't just about your parents or that inner voice that's tormenting you? What if this shame or guilt or judgment is a part of you, a higher, more elevated, more awakened and conscious part of you that's trying to get your attention?
Mm.
And what if we pull out all the weeds, but we still don't pay attention? Huh. What do you think? And they'll say, interesting. Okay. And then I'll say, why don't we just play? Indulge me just a little bit. Let's play. And then we play. We
Yeah.
play in mindfulness. We learn to laugh. We learn to calm the nervous system. We clear out the weeds, AKA trauma or pain or suffering. And we learn to bring in joy and light again. And that is really my approach because
Yeah.
there's so many parts to it.
Yeah. What I love is when you invite them to come play, their resistance dissolves and it feels safe to them.
Yeah.
You create that safe space for them. And when you say create sacred space, two things I think of creating sacred space right here. Then
Yep.
there's energetic sacred space. And then there's a sacred space within the mind that you then create by clearing out the thoughts. Yeah.
Right.
I
And
hadn't.
for a lot of people, they've never had somebody safe that they could talk to this way because to share something, your innermost secrets can lead to judgment, lead to ridicule. And so even having these types of conversations can feel unsafe. So when we invite people into a state of play and curiosity, and as a healer, and I share my story, it makes the playing ground even,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
In my experience of shaman in general, the ones that I've met, there is a joy because they realize this is all a dream. They don't take it seriously. And there's a trust and an understanding through the process of becoming. So when you said you are a shaman, is that of the Buddhist?
Yeah, great question. Going back to my grandmother's temple, I mentioned that they would do ceremony, they would pray, they would recite their sutras. I had no idea what they were doing. But one of the things that they would do is they would have a planchette table. And it's basically imagine a mahjong table, which is about yay big, and it's square. But instead of a flat surface, it's filled with sand, like a Zen garden. So mahjong table filled with sand, and they would have a planchette, aka like a squeegee to clean your windows, and they would flatten it. And they would have a stick that they would hold in their hands like so, and they would hold it in their hands, close their eyes, and their hands would start to move the stick that is placed into the sand, and they would start to draw Chinese characters in the sand. Now, you and I both play in spirituality. We understand that that is a form of channeling. But as a child, I had no idea. So, in essence, my grandparents were channelers and
Mhm.
they were writing medicine scripts for people who would come to the temple. And so, shamanism comes from my family. On my mother's side, they were the channelers, the healers, the Buddhists. And then on my father's side, they were acupuncturists, deep into meridians and healing the pulse and feeling the beat of the energy inside the body. As far as I know, who I have met in my family, both sides of my grandparents are healers. The shamanism does go back into our ancestry because I have met my ancestors in psychic visions, going back into the Shang dynasty,
Wow.
1600 BC before Christ, 1500 or 1600 BC. But seeing that shamanic lineage live through me, the fact that I can do what I do today without formal training, it confuses and shocks me. I joke about this, but how does one know how to do an exorcism on the spot, complete it, complete the task in 30 minutes, and then go have tacos on a Tuesday? How does one know how to do that? And yet I know how to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I just had this conversation yesterday at a certain spiritual level.
Mm,
When you realize essentially that everyone has chosen
mm,
this journey. They've chosen, say, being born in Toronto and being born Chinese, and for me, being born in Ohio and half Irish, half English, and all the things that we choose. And we chose our parents, and we chose, so we came in to
yeah.
experience, have a human experience. This is
Heaven on earth.
Yeah. We came, this little fly was doing an exclamation point for me. So we came in, and the shift for me, the most profound shift in the conversation that I had yesterday, is being able to have compassion for other human beings and their journey without taking it on,
Yeah.
without becoming a part of it,
Yeah.
without personalizing it, and being able to hold the space for somebody to have their journey.
Right.
And then I'm not suffering. So I'm practicing non-suffering because I'm not suffering through their journey. And it's tied into what you said. How can I do an exorcism and go and eat tacos? Because you understand where everything sits in the world.
Hmm. Yeah.
Fascinating. Can we talk a little bit about what you do
Yeah.
personally on rituals for the day, how you set yourself to win, basically,
Yeah.
in terms of your energy and
Oh, okay.
attention?
This is not your conventional answer.
Good.
How do I set myself up to win and succeed? I sleep a lot. I don't do agendas. I don't have strict strategies. I allow myself to be in silence. I enjoy being in silence. And I simply check in with my guides every day. And I'm very informal with them, so I don't have to put my palms together and go, Namaste. Dear Spirit, please invoke that. I don't talk that way with my guides. I literally look up and I go, hey, what's happening? What are we doing today? And then they'll tell me what to do. And sometimes the assignment is nothing, just chill. And sometimes it's, oh, pick up the phone and call so and so. I live a very intuitive life. And it's a 180 from how I was when I was in corporate, which
Yes.
agenda. Okay, got a 9 a.m. meeting. Who the heck would schedule an 8 a.m. on my calendar? Where is that report? Have you done it yet? Okay, let's talk about the team. I don't work that way anymore. Because when you flow and you are one with your own energy and you are connected to the energy of a higher power in the universe or up in the sky, whatever you want to call that, you then understand that the most important thing that you can do right now is be with yourself. And a lot of people spend a majority of their life escaping themselves.
Hmm.
So, what I do is help people reconnect with the true part of themselves. I work as a healer to help them understand that their magic, their purpose, their legacy that they leave behind is not just in the assets, but it's in the peace and the joy and the relationships that they can have right now.
Hmm.
Because you
Especially,
don't have to close that deal in order to have the relationships. You can work on the relationships now. And maybe that relationship is with yourself. My work is varied. We do inner healing, ancestral healing, cosmic healing. We do intuitive development, whether you want to or not. We don't have to. We help you understand your gifts, your magic, your purpose, your truth. And then I walk with you to help you step into it. I give homework, but the homework is have a good time. Homework is don't beat yourself up. The homework is can you be present with yourself and remember to breathe? Those are the types of things that I do.
yeah, there's such a gentleness in that because
Yeah.
in this, particularly North America, you were talking about that region, everything is hustle culture, bam, 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 go, go, go. So to be gentle with yourself, to allow. And you talked about channeling, and it has been said that everyone has that capability, but it's a matter of listening or believing that it's possible, but also developing that muscle. And it sounds like in your coaching, you help people do that.
Yeah, I have helped people who say, "Oh, I don't know how to channel. I've paid for a year-long course to learn how to channel and I still don't know how to do it." And I go, "Well, you want to learn right now?" They're like, "What do you mean right now?" And I go, "Well, let's play. I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to look at what your intuitive senses are, and I'm going to give you hints." And they go, "Wait, what?" And I go, "Come on, let's go." I have taught people how to channel in as little as 30 minutes. It's simply as easy as learning to tune into that frequency of what your intuition sounds like. Now, most people play that comparison game.
Yeah.
Oh, I should hear, or I should have a vision. And I'll look at their chakras and I go, no, the way that you get it isn't that way. You get it this way. And they go, wait, what? So you're telling me everything that I've been feeling this entire time is right? And I go, yeah. Are you ready to play? And they go, okay. And I walk them through it. And as little as 30 minutes, even sometimes it depends on the person. I've done it as fast as 15 minutes, but it simply is inviting that place of play and curiosity into the sixth sense.
Mhm. Do you have a prayer or a mantra or something for people to allow themselves to get out of their own way?
Yeah, I actually do. I have several clients who use different mantras, Buddhist mantras, Tibetan mantras, serenity prayers. Honestly, I really encourage people to step into their own authentic version of what works for you. So maybe it's rub a dub scrub, thank you for the grub kind of deal.
Hmm.
Or maybe it's, hey, bro, thank you for the magic. For me, if one is stuck and their inner dialogue is extremely noisy, I like to do reaffirming mantras, which is, I am great, I am at peace, I am happy. And you just keep repeating that. And what that does is it kicks out all that extra noise.
Hmm.
Reaffirming yourself is a very powerful thing to do. So that's the first thing that I would really encourage people to step into. The next thing, if you are talking about playing with higher realms and being able to attune yourself to a higher vibe, again, whatever version works for you, it might be, hey, spirit guides, or dear spirit guides, please bless me with your light. Again, I'm making it up. I want for people to make up their own version.
Hmm.
Because if you're reciting something that I have created, you're simply repeating words that may or may not work for you. Everything is a relationship. So when you're talking to your team or the universe, it's developing that relationship. Hey, universe, are you there? And the answer is a yes or a no. Or, hey, team, are you there? And it's simply building that confidence. So, in
Hmm.
order to work with the best and highest frequency, you simply have to use the phrase higher frequency, which is one of my membership programs also. But, hey, team, I want to play in the highest frequency, only allowing myself to be in the realms of the highest and the greatest and the best outcome for all and also myself. Please and thank you. Being able to use your own words to create your own prayer is the most powerful thing that you can do because what's right for me may not be right for you.
Yeah. What you added in there, the greatest good for all, or I always say the for the highest good.
Hmm.
Because it's not just about me.
Yeah.
It's about the greater good.
Yes.
And that will keep it at the Christ consciousness level or the higher
Yeah.
level. I don't know if you use that terminology or not, but
Yeah.
we all use I great spirit is
Yeah.
how I identify that. And I love guardian angels, yay.
Yeah.
Uh, can you talk a little bit about how you work with people in terms of energetic healing?
Yeah, so it's very integrated. In my mentorship programs, I don't do set agendas, and it
Mhm.
really is about flowing. And so when I'm working with someone and we're having the conversation, again, going back to the metaphor of pulling out the weeds, and somebody is stuck or they feel a great deal of emotion rise up within them, but they don't know what it is, I'll say, let me just take a look because I have psychic eyes. Let's do it. And I'll take a look and I'll kind of evaluate and assess, and I have to make sense of what I'm seeing. We'll have another conversation. I'm seeing this. Does this make sense to you? Yeah. And you're feeling this, right? Here in this specific place. And they go, yeah. And I go, okay. All right. So here's what we can do. And I'll go, hang on a second. Let me check in. So when I'm addressing my spirit team, again, I have a very chummy relationship with them. I refer to them as, hey, dude. The reverence tends to get in the way. So I'm like, hey, dude, can you, dude, as in whoever's up there, spirit
Right.
guides, angels, universe, God creator, Jesus, Mother Mary, all of them. Hey, dudes. Hey, dudes,
Mhm.
can you show me how I'm supposed to do this? Okay, so you want me, and I'm actively envisioning, receiving the vision, and I'm channeling and I'm having the conversation, the live broadcast in front of you. And I go, okay, so you want me to do, okay, so this way and then that way. Okay, and you want me to have that conversation? Okay, I got that. Anything else? And then I'll start doing the energy work. And now I do the energy work from anywhere, remotely.
Yep.
Most of my work is done through Zoom because my clients live all around the world. And I'll
Right.
start facilitating the energy, but I will guide the person through a light meditation simply by start by closing your eyes, taking a big breath in through the nose. Good. Exhaling through the mouth. And then I will start explaining what I'm doing. So here, we'll just do a quick practice.
Okay.
Not that I'm actively channeling for you, but I just want to simulate what I'm doing. So let's start
Okay.
by taking a big breath in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Good. Inhale again and let it all go. Slowing your breath and starting to clear the mind out, relaxing the muscles, relaxing your cheekbone. And I'm gently going to use my hands and begin pulling energy out from your heart chakra. And you might feel a slight tug, allowing any sensations to arise. And nothing is also a suitable answer here. Good. Relaxing even deeper. Good. Big breath in and exhale. And I'm going to infuse light back into your heart, replenishing all that no longer serves you, removing all of that that no longer serves you, and replenishing you with the purest, most divine light. With each inhale, you receive, and with each exhale, you release. Good. Final breath in, fill in your lungs. And when you're ready, you can come back. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Beautiful light. Fun, right? So that's how I do my work. It's just integrated.
I love that. I hope that people took a moment to breathe with you. I was going for it. I'm
I
like,
love that. I love that.
as long as we're here.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
you're
It's
so welcome.
special sharing that with us. I really would like to shift gears a little bit. It may not be a shift, but you wrote a book recently,
Yeah,
Channels of Light. Could you talk
yeah.
about what is that about?
Gosh. So, channels of light is the concept that everyone already is a channel of light.
Love
And
it.
there's a misconception that you have to be a little bit more perfect, that you have to do a little bit more healing, to be a little bit more centered and grounded in order to do what you're here to do. But the concept of channels of light really is recognizing that you already are the channel of light and there's nothing wrong with you. But we've been conditioned to think that there is something wrong with us. And that's part of the healing work that I do, which is unraveling all that is unnecessary within you, removing and releasing all of that programming within you that maybe even isn't yours, that you somehow bought into, that you now think, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda been X, Y, or Z, and then I will be better, and then I can help whoever I need to help or myself. Being a channel of light is simply the embodiment of your authentic self, recognizing that you are already brilliant, that there's nothing wrong with you, that you don't need another certificate, that there are things within you that are simply calling your attention. And those things within you are your intuition, the sixth sense. It's the quietness, the stillness that's within you. And so in this book, I talk about how we can reconnect with ourselves, how we can learn to understand the more subtle tones of energies, what it means, what the chakras mean, the different layers of energy, the different realms of spirits and spirituality, what it means to connect with a higher power, what you're supposed to do. And the obligation here is not that you have to step into doing a certain job or a project. The obligation is that you return to yourself.
Mhm.
That's the assignment here.
I love that. Imagine if 8 billion people on the planet suddenly realize that they're already light.
Mm,
They're already perfect and part of the fabric, and there's nothing to get to or compare or compete or any of those things that they just simply could be.
yeah.
That sounds like a roadmap for people.
And this book was inspired by my spirit guides as well, who told me that I was supposed to write a book. And
Good.
I said, come on, you want me to write a book? I don't know
That's a
what
lot of work.
I'm not, I don't know what I'm going to write about. And they go, we'll tell you what to write. And so this has been a really beautiful journey with my spirit guides and deepening our relationship and
Mhm.
helping me finish that, finish this book that can help heal so many other people out there.
But it's called
Yeah.
Channels of Light,
Yes.
meaning all of you out there.
Yeah.
And it's a way to step into your power and into your light. Yes?
Yes.
Is there any question that you would like me to ask that I haven't covered that you intuitively feel would be appropriate right now?
The question is, what do people need to know
Mhm.
right now? And the answer, it's like the most simplest answer. And I apologize if it's unsatisfactory, but hear me out. What we need the most right now is kindness within ourselves, is peace and joy. And a lot of times we're so busy taking care of other people and other things, and maybe even our fur babies, that we forget to take care of ourselves. So, what is needed the most is just the gentle reminder that you're worth it,
Mm.
that you are important, that you're already perfect, and there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, it might feel that way, and that's totally human, but you're a spirit having a human existence. And if you are already spirit, wouldn't it make sense that you are already at peace? But why are you doing this thing where you're beating yourself up and you're giving yourself a hard time? Can you be a little bit nicer to yourself? That's
So
it.
that partially answers the next question, which is, and I get asked this question, how do I help humanity? How do I help the collective in these very trying times? How do I make a difference? I'm just a little old me.
Yeah.
So I know what I tell them, but what would you say to them?
I would say you do you, boo.
Yeah.
You really have to do you. And the thing about self-care is it's not just pampering, massage, getting a manicure. It's the inner work. When I say you do you, boo, it means you choose what's right for you. You do what feels right for you, not what your friends or your family think you have to do. It's what you want to do for yourself. Can you learn to fill your own cup? Can you learn to be there for yourself instead of escaping yourself and busying your schedule with more meetings and more projects and volunteering for things that you shouldn't have volunteered for? And then you're tired and then you don't have time and you don't, you know,
Yep.
you do you, boo.
You do you, boo. That encapsulates it right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, please let them know where they can find you for your coaching and your healing sessions and your offerings online.
Right now, I have open enrollment for my Quantum Leader program. This is a one-on-one 6-month mentorship program, and it is designed for the leaders, the visionaries, the busy CEOs, the executives who don't have time for themselves, but don't necessarily want to fully depart into a silent meditation. They need somebody to speak to them straight, give it to them straight, and give them the little nuggets, and then they can go off and marinate on it. I work with a lot of type A
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
I've created space for that. I do have open enrollment right now for the Quantum Leader program. And you can find more about that on my website, which is Sonya, spelt with a Y, Lee, and then it's .io because .com was taken. So sonyalee.io, and you can find me on my website, or you can find me on Instagram at Sonya Lee Official. And I'm also very vocal on Facebook as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful. So I have one last question. You ready?
sure.
How do you recommend that the listeners go out and live their most alive lives?
Yeah. This is a loaded question. How do they go and live their most alive lives? Is to create space and time for themselves. Go have fun. You do you, boo. But I don't mean the kind of fun where you become overly intoxicated with something else, but the kind of fun where you learn to be with yourself. Go treat yourself to lunch. Go be the outlier. Be different. Be you. But indulge in that time that you can spend getting to know yourself, being present. Learn to have fun on your own because that is priceless. If you can learn how to have fun on your own and you don't need an external stimuli to fill that void, you've just won the jackpot.
Yes, yes. And that just takes practice.
Yeah,
Yeah, anybody can do it. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your time and your sweet energy. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Joni. Thank you for the opportunity.
And if you haven't picked up my book yet, Stop Look, Choose Your Journey to Peace and Freedom, you can grab that as well. And if you have found anything helpful or a nugget or two in here and you want to share this with people that you love and you care about, the more we give for the sake of giving, the better off we'll all be. Now, the most important part, listeners, it's your turn to go out and live your most alive lives.